Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is a companion video. Now, what is a companion video? I'm glad that you asked. See, every day on the John Campea Show from Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we save time to take live questions, but we often don't have time to get around to all the live questions that get sent in. But I want to make sure those questions get answered in a video, so I gather up those unused questions and we address them here on companion videos. And it is Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations made to the end of the week. And the questions we're going to get caught up on now were from today, Friday's show on the John Campea Show a little bit earlier today. So let's not waste any time and let's dive in right to it. And the first question today comes to us from John McKendry, who writes, War Machine's Avenger suit, when they're walking, has a light and is more mechanical, and yet Tony's does not. I think Tony was just added for the trailer. Well, I mean, that's a popular theory right now, and it's one that, hey, I don't have high doubts that maybe Tony and Nebula in that scene of all of them walking in the quantum realm suits may be a misdirect. I think that's a possibility. However, Tony not being in the Iron Man armor doesn't make me think that, because remember what we saw in Infinity War. It's nanotech now. He just hits some magic button on his wrist and just the armor comes out. So he doesn't need to be wearing it. War Machine's armor is different. But Tony can just summon the Iron Man armor whenever he wants now because of the magic of nanotech comes out. So while I do believe that could be a misdirect, it very well could. I don't think it could just because of that, because again, he can summon the Iron Man armor whenever he needs it. Okay. Let's move on. Icy Bubba writes, Zemo didn't die in Civil War, so Masters of Evil in a future movie, I really doubt it. Number one, Zemo never saw himself as evil. That's an important thing. Number two, I honestly thought Zemo was a weak villain. And actually narratively kind of pointless and not needed. He didn't even have to be in that movie for that movie to get to where it went. I mean, a lot of people try to argue with me about that, but then I lay it out and they're like, well, okay. I just never found him to be that compelling of a villain, so I really don't care if we ever see him again. Played great. Don't get me wrong. The role was played wonderfully. Daniel Bruhl is a great actor, and he played it great, but it's just, ultimately, I didn't care much about that character. Robert Tari writes, question for all. What is your favorite Disney animated movie pre the 2000s? Pre the 2000s. Well, give me a second here. What year... I can't remember off well, I guess you'd have to go with Lion King. Lion King is my all-time number one favorite animated movie ever. It is pre the 2000s, so I'm going to have to go with Lion King. Let's see. Asmer Junkie writes. Wait, did we get everything? Yes, we did. Asmer Junkie writes, does Disney really have to lay off so many workers? Yeah, they do. Look, Disney and Fox are massive companies, with thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of staff. When you take two companies and then merge them in together, there's going to be a lot of doubling up and overlap, and that renders a lot of positions no longer needed. And if you don't need the position, you don't just keep them on as a charity. I mean, it's horrible and it sounds terrible, but listen, let's say I had a lead editor, and I joined forces with another YouTube channel, and they had a lead editor, but we only need one. We're not going to keep them both on staff just for the heck of it. I mean, that's a lot of money. That costs a lot of money. And yeah, they really did. There was just too many positions that become redundant when you merge two companies like that. I'll be honest with you. I suspected when they first announced they were going to do the Disney and Fox merger, at first, I kind of suggested or suspected that the number would be even higher. I thought it would be a higher number than that. So I'm actually kind of impressed they limited it to 3,000 or 4,000 people. It's horrible. It's a terrible part of this thing, but that's the reality of it. Let's see. Icy Bubba writes, do you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? It's my favorite show. Well, Icy Bubba, you must be a relatively new viewer, which in that case, welcome. I hate Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think it's a terrible show. I watch it, but I hate watch it. I hate watching it because I keep watching it because I keep wanting it to be good and it never is. Let me rephrase. There have been some episodes are actually quite good. I think it was their 100th episode? Was that the one? Did they get to 100? At any rate, it might have been their 100th episode. That one was a really good episode. And they've done a number of good episodes. But overall, I think it's a hot steaming pile of garbage, that show, which is a shame because I love the MCU and I want to be able to like everything in it, but I just cannot get into that show. I try and I try and I keep watching it and I keep watching it because I want to like it, but I simply don't. I wish I did, man. I wish I did. But you're not alone, Icy Bub. I know a lot of people that like that show. I just cannot get into it. Andrew Roker writes, "Hey, John and Robert, I'm a huge Seinfeld fans. Are any of you?" Well, also, again, Andrew, you must be relatively new if you're asking us that. Seeing Shazam tomorrow, super excited. Keep up the awesome work. I am also seeing Shazam tomorrow. I'm so stoked for that. Got a bunch of friends coming with me. It's going to be a good time. Yes, we talk about Seinfeld all the time on this show. And on this channel. We talk about Seinfeld all the time. Arguably the greatest sitcom of all time. I mean, it's right up there. It's in the discussion with The Office and, Parks and Rec to me. But yeah, Seinfeld is all-time classic, fabulous. We talk about it very often, Andrew. I love that show. Okay, Ryan Lohner writes, "I just realized that with Burt Reynolds' death, the entire main cast of All Dogs Go to Heaven is gone." Really? Hold a second. Let me just pull this up. Okay. All Dogs Go to Heaven. The lead cast were Burt Reynolds, Dom DeLuise. Ooh. Man, you're right. I'm sure some of these people are still around, but you're right. All the main cast of them is gone. Wow. I didn't even think about that. Good catch, Ryan. Good catch. Frank Donahue writes, "Hey, John, if Robert Downey Jr. steps down as Iron Man, do you see a place in the MCU for Don Cheadle still? Or is there no Shaggy without Scooby?" I still think there's a role for Rhodey. If anything, if Tony is gone after Endgame, and that's a big if Tony is gone after Endgame, that might actually really cement a place for Rhodey in the MCU, as a matter of fact. So I get why you would ask, but I almost feel like it would be the opposite. I almost feel like having that kind of a character, now there's more room for him. Now there's a lot of stuff that they could have given to Tony that can now be given to Rhodey's character. So, I absolutely, now I'm not saying that means we're going to have Rhodey in the MCU after Endgame. I don't know that. But yeah, do I think there's still a place for him? Absolutely. I still think there's a place for Don Cheadle in there. Okay, Victor Von Doom writes, "John, please explain why Fox sold its assets. Thanks." Well, I mean, I don't have hours to go into it, and it's not like I work at Fox, but from what I understand, there was a couple of key components. Number one, Fox decided that in a changing era, that where everything's moving digital, they didn't feel that they were poised to make that transition moving forward over the next 10 years. Coupled on top of that, they wanted to focus on their core strengths, their news division. And their news division, I think they held on to some of their sports stuff, but that's really where they really wanted to keep their focus. And they could get top dollar right now. Disney was in a position of being a buyer, and they were able to leverage Disney and Comcast into a bidding war with each other. Because remember, there was an initial bid. There was the initial bid for the company, I think, was like $50-something billion. The first reports, I'm not remembering the exact number, but the first reports was Disney had come to a basic agreement with Fox to buy it for 50-something billion. Huge. Well, then it was Fox's lucky day because Comcast came along and said, "We'll buy it for 60-something billion." And which forced Disney, being a buyer's market, to come back and say, "Fine, we'll pay 71 billion." It was Comcast made Disney spend $20 billion more than they wanted to spend, which was huge. So it was a great time for Fox because it was a buyer's market. They were probably going to get top dollar. The shareholders are going to get top dollar for the money right now than any before. So those are just some of the reasons, Victor. All right, Jesse Keller writes, "Hey guys, which older TV series do you think could be the next Mission Impossible franchise on the big screen? Side note, Get Smart is my favorite TV to movie." I enjoyed Get Smart. I didn't think it was great, but I did enjoy it. So I'm a big Steve Carell fan of Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I don't know. For every Mission Impossible that made a successful transition from TV show to movie, you get 3 or 4 Baywatch, Starsky and Hutch, a bunch of ones that just fall flat and fail. I mean, you point to, but it worked for Mission Impossible. Yeah, but that's the exception. I mean, most of them just don't make the transition very well. So what's one that could? I don't know. I mean, almost anything can with the right script and the right director and the right story idea. Almost anything can transition. But off the top of my head, I mean, they tried A-Team. That didn't work. Airwolf is a little passé now. Speaking of which, Jan Michael Vincent just passed away. We've just found out recently. Smith and Smith. I don't know. You could do probably a pretty cool story with Smith and Smith. Maybe Smith and Smith. That's one I would think about. Let's see. Kevin Bennett writes, Doom Patrol is absurdly and deliciously fun. My favorite show until Game of Thrones returns. I'm telling you what, I think I'm going to get the Disney stream. I was going to wait till Swamp Thing comes out, but I'm hearing great things about Doom Patrol. I just found out that one of my favorite guys from Supernatural, Mark Sheppard, who played Crowley, the King of Hell. I love this actor. I just found out that he's in a few episodes. So I'm like, okay, so I think I'm going to get it just for that show because people like you, Kevin, keep telling me it's really good. All right, Jeff Crow writes, I buy my games for Xbox One digitally now after my disc reader broke and had to get it fixed. But I like buying Blu-ray still. The problem is, Jeff, if you like still buying Blu-rays, you're in the minority because in just 2 years, Blu-ray disc sales dropped by 30%. Like, that's just unsustainable. We now have the biggest Blu-ray makers are now getting out of making Blu-rays. Xbox just announced that they're going to be putting out a console that doesn't even have a disc player in it. I'm sure they'll still make consoles that they do, but this is just a sign of things to come. And the death bell is ringing for Blu-ray and physical media. Ryan Lohner writes, Fast and Furious 7, some odd writing choices, most of all Statham's just a random nuisance, and this other guy is the real main villain. But still a ton of fun. I really had a good time with Fast and Furious 7. Again, to me, Fast and Furious, either 5 or 6 are my favorites. But I quite enjoyed 7 a lot. I liked Fast and Furious 8. I had a good time with Fast and Furious 8. But to me, it was the least enjoyable out of the new era of Fast and Furious films. 5, 6, 7, and 8. I would put 8 as the least good out of that bunch. But yeah, I quite enjoyed 7 and Jason Statham. I just like seeing Jason Statham in movies, so that's always a good thing for me. Ryan follows up with, though, can movies please stop acting like simply revealing a character as a woman is some huge, unbelievable twist? I really rolled my eyes at Surprise Missandei. Oh, you're talking about the girl from Game of Thrones. I don't think it was supposed to be some big twist. I think it just caught the characters by surprise. To be fair, I think there's a difference between something that is surprising the characters in the movie and a big narrative twist. I never felt like they treated that like a big narrative twist. There are some movies and things that do treat the revelation of a certain character being a woman as a narrative twist, and sometimes it is. But I never felt like in Fast and Furious they treated it like that. I think it was more that it caught the characters by surprise, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was meant as a narrative twist for us, the audience. But I do see what you're saying, Ryan. Okay. Marquis Jackson writes, people talk about Cap and Tony talking in Endgame, but not Tony giving Cap back his shield. Well, I think that's implied. That will produce the greatest audience reaction, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, look, we know that Cap gets his shield back because we see him tighten the shield up on his arm, right? So we know he gets it back. Maybe he gets it back while Tony is still in space. Maybe he gets it back from the Tony reunion. But I think in talking about Tony and Cap reuniting, I think it's just kind of been understood that one of the things we're all excited about seeing is Cap handing the shield or Iron Man handing the shield back to Captain America. The shield he beat the hell out of him with, and then so to give it back to him at that point. I think that's been implied. So when we're talking about that, that's one of the things that we're absolutely looking forward to. Absolutely. It may or may not be in the scene. And to be honest, it may or may not, that scene may or may not happen. I mean, I think it will, but we don't know for sure that there's going to be a scene in this movie where Cap and Tony reunite. I think we're all assuming there is. The trailers seem to suggest there is, but that might be a misdirect. But within that scene, I think we fully expect to see a shield changing hands again. They're going to make a big deal out of Cap getting a shield back. If they're going to make a big deal out of it in the trailer of him tightening it up on his arm, they're going to make a big deal out of it in the movie of him getting it back, I think. Okay. Let's see. BL Baller Boy writes, You underestimate the responsiveness these video games require and overestimate the quality of streaming when the US does not offer high fiber internet. No, you are misunderstanding what Stadia is. There's this myth going around out there that you are going to need like 25 gigabit internet just to be able to blah, blah, blah. No, you're not. It is basically what is streaming is video. Video is what's streaming. And I was streaming 1080p video on my Roku when all I had for internet in my apartment this one time was a Sprint 3G hotspot box. I was getting, or it might have been 4G, but anyway, it wasn't great. And all I was getting was about 4.5 megabits down. That's all I was getting. And that was good enough for me to run 1080p video on my TV. Essentially, that's what's streaming. What is streaming is the 1080 video. And I've actually got viewers who tested Google Stream when they were testing this out. It was going under the name Google Stream. I've had people writing to me saying, hey, we played it with the Assassin's Creed game and it was wicked responsive. It was, they're telling me it was, the responsiveness was great. There was basically no lag whatsoever. So no, I'm not underestimating the responsiveness these video games required. I don't think an almost like a $500 billion company like Google went, oh wait, we didn't know that video games had to be responsive. What? They understand this. They develop these with game developers. They know what is required. I may surprise you to find that out, but they happen to know what is required. And they're saying they've made it work. And all you've got to be able to do is have an internet speed that's fast enough that to basically stream the video feed. You got a few ones and zeros going back and forth to transmit the input signal, but they say they basically got that down to being instantaneous, and it doesn't take a large amount of data to do it. So I honestly don't know where this thing is coming from, is that you're going to need high-speed fiber in order to do it. No, you don't. You don't. Not from everything I'm seeing. Now, look, Stadia may come out and crash and burn and be terrible, but all I'm saying is that according to the people who are the testers on it, according to the company itself, this thing's legit and it works. And if it does deliver, it's a game changer. So all this stuff about, oh, it won't be responsive, I'm pretty sure they covered that. Oh, you're going to have to have fiber internet. No, you're not. You just need internet fast enough to transmit the video. And you don't need that high-speed internet to transmit video. So I don't know, man. We're going to have to wait and see. Melvin Rosa writes, I can finally catch your show live at John Campea. No Avenger will die. They bring in too much money to Disney. PS, thanks for your great programming. I don't know, Melvin. I don't know, man. First of all, I'm glad you're able to catch the show live. Thanks for watching. I don't know about this notion that no Avenger will die because they still have a wealth of characters they can bring in. Look, do I think they'll kill Captain America? No. Do I think they'll kill Tony? No. Do I think they'll kill Thor? No. But it is possible. And not just like 1% possible. It's legitimately possible that Cap could die this movie. It's legitimately possible that Iron Man could die. It's legitimately possible that Thor could die. And they've gotten lots of movies out of them, and now they have new characters that they can introduce and make money off of. So, I don't know. I'm not, look, I was positive that they weren't going to kill Captain America in Winter Soldier, even though so many people insisted he would, and they didn't. I was positive they weren't going to kill Captain America in Civil War, even though everybody insisted he would. I was sure they were not going to kill Captain America in Avengers Infinity War, even though everybody was saying Cap was going to die. Now, here we are in Endgame, and again, everybody's saying Cap's going to die, and I don't think so, but this time I'm not going to be surprised if they do. I'm not going to be shocked if they do. I still think he's going to live, but not the same way that I was sure he was going to live before. This time, he very well could bite it, Melvin, because they have a lot of other characters they can draw on, and maybe they're feeling like it's time for them to move on to other characters. I don't know, man, but we only got a few more weeks. We got to wait to find out, Melvin. That's the exciting part. Okay. Carlos Sosa writes, John, will you be attending Star Wars Celebration? No. I made the decision quite a while ago that I just got turned off by the Star Wars fandom. it became too toxic of a place. Instead of being a place of joy and fun and inspiration for me, it became a place of just toxic sorrow and toxic negativity and just a bunch of man babies. And I decided, you know what? It's ruined it for me. And I said, no, I'm not going to go to Celebration. Even though I had a wonderful time at Celebration in Orlando. I had a great time there. And I hope everybody that goes, I even got offered Lucasfilm VIP passes to go to Celebration this year, but nah, maybe the next one. But yeah, I got turned off of the fandom and stuff like that, so I decided to take a pass on this one. Maybe by next one I'll have my energy back and be ready to go for it, but I declined it this time around. Fire Nightwing 1 writes, in Endgame, it would be nice to see a little of the fun banter of Army versus Air Force between Captain America and Captain Marvel. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see whatever the banter is. I don't know that you'll get a lot of Army versus Air Force, because remember, the Air Force was a very different thing, and the Army was a very different thing when Cap was fighting Hitler and fighting the Nazis and Hydra. So it's not like they were around in the same era, but it would be kind of fun if look, in Civil War, they had a little Queens, Brooklyn. They had a little that between Spider-Man and Cap. It would be kind of fun if they had just a little bit of that, even just on that same level as the Spider-Man interaction. Even on that same level, that would be kind of fun. Merck writes, I love your content. You seem very smart. Well, if you can't be smart, seem smart. So thank you for that, Merck, and thank you for being a part of the channel and watching the shows, man. I appreciate that. Okay, Velushkin writes, hey, John, we talk about Hawkeye losing his daughter, but just now saw Ant-Man 2, and can you imagine how sad it's going to be if Scott's daughter gets dusted? Oh, yeah, cry time. I'm telling you, Endgame's going to be a whole bunch of cry time. So much cry time. And yeah, that's going to be devastating. But remember, it's not just his daughter. It looked like the end of Ant-Man 2 made it look like everybody he knows dusted. And then he comes out of the quantum realm and the world is gone. I mean, it's going to be different, though. See, the difference between the Scott situation and Hawkeye's situation is that, I don't know this, but it looks like Hawkeye is going to have to watch his daughter die. Scott is at least, Small Mercies, is at least going to be trapped in the quantum realm. He's not going to be there to see his daughter die. Hawkeye I'm betting he's going to be like holding his kid in his arms when his kid dies. Maybe both of his kids. Maybe both of his kids and his wife. I don't know. But it's going to add that a little bit more of emotional oomph. But yeah, it's going to be, it's still going to be devastating if we find out Scott's daughter dies, especially after you watch the beginning of Ant-Man 2. That opening to Ant-Man 2 is so great with them playing in the fort. That was so wonderful. I love that scene. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. All right. Volushkin writes, hey, Captain Canada, what do you think of a Lion King prequel of Mufasa and Scar growing up? You see Mufasa become king and Scar start to become shady. Not interested. I just don't like prequels. I'm not a fan of prequels. Especially prequels that take the exact same characters from the stories we know and just show them a bit younger. Like, you want to go back 200 years, that's fine. But prequels that are just taking the characters we already know and show them a bit younger, I'm sure there are a couple of exceptions, but for the most part, I'm not interested. Like, why do I need to see that story? I know what happens to Mufasa and Scar. I know how they both turn out, and I know how each of them die. So, yeah, that's just me, but I'm not big into prequels. I just don't find myself being all that interested in them. John Jordan writes, Thanos destroys the gauntlet and Vision 2.0 is made from Shuri's saved version of him in Wakanda. Quantum suits are nanotech and come from the hand bands. I don't know. I don't know about any of that. Thanos destroying the gauntlet, possibility. I've talked about that before on the show. That's a possibility. Either he destroys it or it's just been wrecked because of the snap. I have my doubts that Shuri rebuilds Vision. Because the only way to save Vision was for her to do this procedure in Infinity War, and she never got to complete the procedure. And then the stone got pulled out of his head, and he's dead. There's no rebuilding him. So I don't think, and not to mention, unless it's a misdirect in the trailer, according to the trailer, Shuri is one of the people who got dusted. So that kind of undermines that. Possible misdirect? Absolutely. But I'm just pointing out the obvious. And I don't know that, I don't know. I'm so sick of magic nanotech. I'm so sick of magic nanotech. It's just witchcraft at this point. It's just wizardry. Just say Tony Stark is a wizard. Just say, you know what? During one of the off seasons, he went to Hogwarts for a year and learned witchcraft, because that's more believable than the thing they're doing with his magic nanotech. I'm just sick of the nanotech stuff. But anyway, let's see what happens, though. It'll be really interesting. Thanos himself just decides to destroy the gauntlet. Rufino Salazar Jr. writes, "Hey, John, if you don't mind, how long were you and Ann dating until you proposed? Have a great week, my friend." I had kind of a couple of rules. My rules were this. You know, around the time, just before I came to LA, I thought, if I get married, I'm going to date for at least a year. And then I made a rule for myself that I said, Self, make sure you also live with the person for at least a year. Because you can't know everything you need to know unless you actually are living with them. So that was basically the game plan, and that's exactly how it worked out. Ann and I dated for a year. Then we moved in together for a year. And at right around when that year ended, we got married. And so I suspected I wanted to marry her about 4 months into the relationship. Look, I'll be quite honest with you. When I started dating Ann, I really thought I was just going to be... I was in the process of dating a bunch of people at the time, right? I was in LA. I wanted to date around. I wanted to just have a good time, date a lot of, I'm a Canadian kid, for heaven's sakes, and I'm in Los Angeles, and I'm dating actresses and whatever. So I just wanted to do that for a year or so and then go back home to Canada. And Ann was going to be one of those. We met. I thought she was super cool. She thought I was cool for some reason. We started hanging out. I said, hey, just, I'm only around for a while, and then I'm going back to Canada. She goes, no problem. I'm just getting out of a long-term relationship. I don't want anything serious. Great. 4 months later, I realized I really like this girl a lot, and I can't imagine not being with her. And that's when we started talking about it. And I told her my thing about dating for a year, then living together for a year. And she's like, sounds good to me. We dated for a year. I'm like, are we both ready to move in together? Yeah, let's get a place. We moved in together for a year. So we were together for 2 years before we got married. Anyway, that's the short version. That's the short version. There's a lot of details I'm leaving out, but that was the short version. All right. Darth Scorn writes, have you ever seen All Quiet on the Western Front? It's my favorite war movie, and it feels like they don't make those anymore. Well, yes and no. There might be more than two, but I know of at least two versions of All Quiet on the Western Front. There's the original one from I want to say 1930, might be 1940. Anyway, long time ago. It's 1930s, 1940s, somewhere in there. But then there was a remake of it in 1980 or something like that. There was a remake with the great Ernest Borgnine and Ian Holm, who played Bilbo Baggins in the Lord of the Rings films. And I'm forgetting the name of the lead guy in it. That's the one I saw. I never did see the 1930, 1940 one. I never did see that one, to be honest. But the one from 1980, 1981, somewhere around there. That one I saw, and it sucks. I mean, it's a great movie, but oh my God, it sucks. Seeing what these guys go through and the bonding, the brotherhood, the breaking, and it's really interesting looking at it from German soldiers' points of view. It was really interesting that on that level. And there's this great scene where the guy who was their drill sergeant, basically in boot camp, they re-encounter him in the war, only they hate his guts and they show him no respect anyway. And that guy was played by Ian Holm. Anyway, yes, and you're right. The thing that came closest to being a war movie like that was Saving Private Ryan, that Spielberg did. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I remember one Spielberg referencing All Quiet on the Western Front as one of his inspirations. But yeah, they don't quite make war movies like that anymore, Darth. They really don't. Okay. SH1F722 writes, can't wait to see Shazam tomorrow night. I'm seeing it in the afternoon. I can see Shazam tomorrow afternoon. Super stoked. Got my Shazam t-shirt all ordered. Woo! Yes, I actually, when I know I'm going to a movie, I'm really excited about it. I tend to order things. I did that for Captain Marvel. I ordered a Captain Marvel jacket. When I knew I was going to see Shazam, I ordered myself a Shazam shirt. So I'm all excited. Me and my friends are going. Super stoked, man. Genovani Blakely writes, what do you think of Scott Adkins as Batman? No, just no. Look, I like Scott Adkins. I think I like seeing him pop up in small roles. He's a great action guy. He is simply, and I consider myself a fan, and it puts a smile on my face whenever I see him. I have seen nothing that proves to me that he can be the thespian lead of a film. I've never seen that, anything that suggests that he can do that. Now, I'm a fan. I like this guy. And I get a kick out of watching him and stuff. But I have yet to see anything that even remotely suggests to me this guy can carry a movie with his acting chops alone. He can carry a movie. No, he can't. Not in my estimation at any rate. And I'd love to be proven wrong. But I just don't think he can carry as the lead and put a movie on his shoulders and carry a film. I just don't think he's that guy. Batman short film on YouTube doing all the action? Hell yes. Batman? Nah. Nah, you need an actor, like a legit, bona fide, top-rate actor. And I just don't think Scott's the guy. Again, I'm casting no shade on Scott. I'm a fan of Scott Adkins. I get a big kick when I see him pop up in things. I think the dude's great. But, I also think Dave Bautista's great. I'm a huge fan of Dave Bautista. Do I think he should be the lead role in Macbeth? No. But I still think Dave Bautista's great, and I love seeing him. I kind of feel that way about Scott Adkins. But I really don't think he can be Batman, because I don't think he can carry a film. Let's see here. Wave Wonder 1 writes, play Halo, they're bringing all 5 to PC/Steam. I heard about that. I've never really played Halo. I mean, a little bit, but for all intents and purposes, I never really played Halo. So I'm going to be interested to check it out. As soon as it becomes available, I'll probably get my hands on it and play with it a bit. Jack Fitzgerald writes, over under 50% Armie Hammer is lying about Batman. Okay, for those of you who don't know what Jack is talking about, Armie Hammer was on, not Kimmel, Fallon. He was on Fallon the other night, talking about this new movie of his. And Batman came up because there are rumors going around that he'll be the next Batman. Now remember, Armie Hammer was cast to play Batman in George Miller's Justice League movie. Before anybody knew who Armie Hammer was, this kid that nobody had ever heard of, Armie Hammer, was cast to play Batman in that. And of course, that movie came close to being shot, and then it fell apart and never got made. That's why when Man of S.H.I.E.L.D., not Man of S.H.I.E.L.D., sorry, Man from U.N.C.L.E. came out, we all joked because it had Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer. It's like, we get another look at Batman versus Superman. Anyway, so there have been rumors that he would be the next Batman. And look, I gotta say, I think he'd be a great choice to play Batman. He's a terrific actor. He's got the physical build of it, like even better than Ben Affleck. He's huge. He's muscular. He's got the square jaw, and he's a legit great actor. So he checks all the boxes. So he would be a good one if they mentioned him as Batman. I'd be down for it. Anyway, they asked him about it on Fallon. What he said was, he goes, here's the thing. These people who make up these rumors, none of them have the power to actually give you the job. And he goes, yeah, lots of people have asked me if I'll be Batman. You know who hasn't asked me? Warner Brothers, which is kind of funny. Do I think he's lying? I don't know, maybe. See, you guys know I actually believe they've already cast Batman. I believe Batman's already been cast. Because they cast Ben Affleck 6 months before they ever announced that he was Batman. I believe they've already got their Batman in place. If it's Armie Hammer, then he's doing what Warner Brothers wants him to do. Just play coy for now. Play coy. But I don't know. There's something about it that makes me believe him. I kind of believe he's not going to be the next Batman. I'll be totally happy if he is. But I kind of believe him on this. But who knows? We'll have to wait and find out. Stubborn McShave writes, would you prefer Fantastic Four to be an origin movie or not? Well, if they bring it into the MCU, it kind of needs to be an origin movie. Because how do you explain 10 years of the MCU, the thing with Ultron, the invasion of New York, the decimation of the dusting, blah, 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 and the Fantastic Four are already in existence and nowhere to be seen or heard from or found? It doesn't seem to make any sense. So it almost feels like it would have to be an origin story. Like, I'm all for movies with characters without it having to be an origin story. Like Spider-Man Homecoming was not an origin story, really. They didn't redo the origin story with Incredible Hulk. Great. So, but this one, it would seem odd if it wasn't. It seems just to be able to explain everything, it feels like it would have to be an origin story. All right, Kong Ming Xiong writes, just watched the 30-second spot they put out the other day. I might be in the minority, but I think the quantum spacesuits are misdirect. I don't think the spacesuits, I haven't seen the 30-second spot, by the way. I watch the trailers, but I tend not to go out of my way to watch all the TV spots. I tend not to go out of my way to watch, I'll watch the actual trailers, but I won't watch all the TV spots. At any rate, there were actually, a while ago, toys got revealed of the Quantum Realm suit. So, maybe? But that seems like going to a lot of an extreme length for an inconsequential misdirect. Like, who cares if they're wearing those suits or not, right? Like, the Hulk thing was a major thing. It misdirected you from a major thing, that there was a big story in the movie about Hulk not coming out anymore. And by putting Hulk in the movie, it misdirected you. What does showing suits that they don't actually wear accomplish? Probably not much. And the fact that they're already on toys, I think that probably says that they're not. Now, maybe there's elements in that shot that are misdirects. Like maybe Tony's not actually there. Maybe Nebula isn't actually there. That's possible. But the suits themselves, it seems to me like it's probably pretty much a sure thing that they are there. All right. Apex Caliber writes, can Deadpool 3 have name drops of MCU characters, cameos? I don't see why not. Considering it's like cameos, I don't know. Name drops, why not? Why not? Why not have name drops? I mean, they make Avengers jokes. When they were still under Fox, they were making Avengers jokes, right? So I don't see why not. Absolutely they can. For sure they can. I hope they do. I really hope they do. John Sava writes, will you do a spoiler review for Umbrella Academy? Nah. I thought about it. But the reality is I don't think enough people watched it. And also the reality is it's too late. If I was going to do an Umbrella Academy spoiler review, I probably should have done it like a week or two ago. At this point, it's too late. So I'm guessing probably not. Probably not. I kind of wish maybe I did, but it's too late. The opportunity's come and gone to do it, so probably not. Spark the writes, did you see the final welcome, the one of 2 days ago, video from Disney and Fox Entertainment, new chapter videos on YouTube? They were both touching. I don't think I did, Spark, but hold a second. One second. Hold a second. The final welcome. Okay. I am going to keep that page up. And I'm going to go back and watch it when I'm done. Thank you for putting that on my radar, Spark. I appreciate that. Okay, Ryan writes, FXX Productions is run by New NS, R Chaps, Gopher, Warthog, and Pringles. Do you think chance to become big? Dude, I have... FXX Productions is run by New NS, R Chaps, Gopher, Warthog, and Pringles. Do you think it has a chance? I have no idea what we're talking about, Ryan. I apologize, man. I don't know what it is we're talking about. Jeffrey Niffen writes, what are the chances that you, Rob, and Ashley get together and make a low-budget movie? Boy, wouldn't that be fun? But even low budget is like $500,000. Nope, I don't have $500,000 in my pocket. I don't know. It's possible. Rob and I have, we've toyed around with ideas and talked about, a little bit of imagining, like, hey, what if we produce something and blah, blah, blah. Which I've done a little bit of producing. Rob's done a lot of producing. Robert was the producer on the Agent Cody Banks movies, amongst a lot of things. I didn't even realize Rob's a Saturn Award winner. I didn't even realize that. We were talking the other day and that kind of dropped. And I'm like, wait a minute, time out, back up. You won a Saturn Award? Anyway, I didn't even know that before. It would be fun. Never say never. Never say never. Jason Blahas Garrett Baratheon writes, given your idea for the gauntlet, what do you think of showing a looming threat in Dormammu? Quantum time travel is used to make new gauntlet. Tony presents this to Thanos to defeat Dormammu. Nah. I honestly, I've said this before, I will say it again. I don't think Dormammu is ever going to be addressed again. I think Dormammu was a big issue for one movie. The issue of Dormammu was dealt with by Doctor Strange, and I don't think that's going to become an issue again. I think it's done and gone and not something they don't have to worry about again. So, no, I don't think... And there's no getting Thanos on their side. Thanos is a genocidal maniac. And there's no redeeming the character. There's no redeeming him. Some people think you can't redeem Kylo Ren because he killed one person. Well, he killed many people, but he killed Han Solo. Thanos killed half the universe. He killed trillions. Not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, not millions, not billions. He murdered trillions. And before that, went from planet to planet, wiping out half the populations. He is a genocidal maniac. So no, I don't buy into any theory that has any kind of even the remotest sort of redemption arc for Thanos. I don't buy into it. I don't think they're going to do that. All right, guys, that will do it for this installment of the companion videos. We are now all caught up on all that stuff. And guess what, guys? We're going to be back again tomorrow on Saturday with open mic. That'll be at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Want to just talk open questions about anything you want to talk about? Come on down on Saturday at 12. And then later in the evening, I'm going to do a Shazam review. And I'm very excited about. I can't wait to see the movie. Then I can't wait to review it tomorrow night. Keep your eyes open for that, guys. Hey, listen, guys, do me a favor. We've been kind of plugging this, but we're going to plug it for the next little while. Me, Rob, and Olympic gold medalist Cody Miller, who is a rabid film fanatic, we started a new podcast that's on iTunes and all your favorite podcasting apps called Best Movie, Worst Movie. Do me a favor. Go find it, subscribe to it, rate it, comment on it. We're having a really good time making these, and I hope you'll have a good time listening to them as well. All right, guys, that'll do it for me for now. Thanks a lot for being here for this companion video. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.